I heard the doorbell just as I was setting my mug down, the steam from my tea curling lazily toward the kitchen window. I hadn't expected anyone that morning, but something about the soft chimes sent a small rush through me. As if the quietness of the house had been waiting for a gentle interruption, when I opened the door, he stood there holding a package against his chest. Breath slightly uneven, as if he'd jogged up the steps. His uniform was simple, but the warmth in his eyes softened the edges of everything around him. "Package for you," he said, offering a polite smile. I reached for it, but for a moment our fingers brushed barely a second, yet enough for me to feel a surprising flicker under my skin. He paused too, as if he'd felt it as well. It was subtle, almost unspoken, but something shifted in that tiny exchange. "Thank you," I said, stepping back slightly. "You can leave it inside if you'd like. It's a little heavy." He hesitated, then nodded. "Sure, if that's easier." When he crossed the threshold, my home felt different, less still, less quiet. He placed the package on the console table. But instead of immediately stepping away, he glanced around with a kind curiosity. Not intrusive, just noticing. "You have a peaceful place," he said. I almost laughed at that. Peaceful wasn't always how I felt inside, but the sincerity in his tone made the words land softly. "I try to keep it that way," I replied. "It doesn't always work." His eyes met mine, a brief understanding. Look that made it feel like we were sharing something without needing to explain it. He straightened. "Well, I should. Would you like some water?" I asked before I even realized I'd spoken. He blinked, surprised but not uncomfortable. Yeah, thank you." I stepped into the kitchen, hearing his footsteps follow at a respectful distance. As I handed him the glass, I saw a faint smile, forming gentle appreciative, as if the simple offer meant more than it should have. He took a sip. "Long morning," he murmured. I leaned against the counter. "You look like someone who doesn't complain easily." That earned a soft laugh from him, warm and unguarded. "Maybe, but it's nice when someone notices." That tiny confession settled between us like something fragile and honest. I felt myself relax in a way I didn't even realize I needed. Talking to him felt natural, strangely grounding, as if the space around us had folded into something smaller and more intimate without crossing any lines. He set the glass down gently. "You have a calm way of speaking," he said. "It makes the morning feel lighter." I felt warmth rise in my chest. Compliments weren't something I heard often anymore. And this one wasn't overdone or dramatic, just real. "Well," I answered softly, "you brought a little lightness with you too." For a moment, neither of us looked away. There was no tension, no expectations, a quiet awareness, like recognizing a familiar song you never realized you missed. He finally cleared his throat. "I should get going. Still a lot to deliver." "Of course," I said, though a small part of me wished he could stay just a little longer. He walked with me to the door, pausing before stepping out. "I'm usually assigned this route," he said casually, though his tone carried something deeper. "So, I'll probably be around again soon." "I'll look forward to that," I replied. A soft smile touched his lips, and then he was gone. The sound of his steps fading down the walkway. I closed the door slowly, leaning against it as I exhaled. The house felt different, no longer silent, but softly awake. 2 days later, he was back, not with a delivery, but standing at my door with a hesitant expression. "Sorry," he said, running a hand over the back of his neck. "I know this looks strange, but I found something in the truck. I think it's yours." He handed me a small card I didn't recognize. "It was under your package from last time," he explained. I smiled carefully. "I'm not sure it's mine, but thank you for bringing it." He nodded, but he didn't step away. Instead, he lingered in that same gentle uncertainty, as if he wasn't sure whether he should leave or if something kept him rooted there. "You okay?" I asked. His gaze softened. "Yeah, just. It's been a heavy morning." And I remembered how calm it felt here. Something in me opened at that. I moved aside. "You can come in for a minute." He did, quietly, almost gratefully. We ended up in the kitchen again. I made tea for myself, water for him. He leaned against the counter across from me, shoulders relaxing as he took a slow breath. "I don't usually talk to people when I'm working," he said. "But the other day talking to you, it stayed with me." A warm hush filled the room, the kind that didn't need explanation. I felt it too. The connection had been soft, but unmistakably real. "Sometimes," I replied, "a small moment feels like more than just a moment." He met my eyes, a quiet intensity there, not forward, not inappropriate, simply open. "Yeah," he said, "exactly." We didn't move closer, but somehow the space between us felt full, as if the air itself carried the conversation. "Do you ever feel," I asked gently, "like you meet someone at the exact time you needed a reminder that the world still has small kindness in it?" His expression shifted, surprised, touched. "That's exactly how it felt." I could feel my heartbeat, steady but present. I wasn't searching for anything, but something about him, his sincerity, his quiet persistence, felt like a doorway to warmth I didn't know I'd been missing. He set the empty glass down carefully, almost reluctantly. "I should go," he said softly, "but thank you, really." I walked him to the door again, and before he stepped outside, he paused. "You know," he said, voice low but clear, "I'm glad the route brought me here." A slow smile lifted my lips. "Me too." He left, and again the house held his absence like an echo, not lonely, not heavy, but gently stirring, as if waiting. He continued coming by whenever his deliveries brought him near, sometimes just for a glass of water, sometimes for a brief conversation at the door. Nothing rushed, nothing hinted at anything beyond the fragile honesty we shared. But each visit felt like a thread woven between Ustein at first, then stronger, carrying warmth that settled somewhere deep. One afternoon, rain tapping softly against the windows, he arrived with another package. He looked a little soaked, hair damp, jacket clinging lightly to his shoulders. "You're drenched," I said, ushering him inside. "Come in, at least until the rain slows." He stepped in, grateful but reserved. I handed him a towel. He laughed softly. "You always have a way of making things feel gentler." As he dried his hair, his gaze met mine, quiet, warm, lingering in a way that acknowledged our connection without crossing any boundaries. "I didn't realize how much I looked forward to seeing you," he said. The confession was soft but sincere. My breath caught, not with shock, but with recognition. "I look forward to it too," I admitted,